I had just gotten a girlfriend. So when I had this conversation with her, I'm thinking, she's doing really well for herself. She's thinking I'm doing really well for myself, and I'm setting myself up. I'm like, you know what? Let me not blindside her with this. And I'm going to tell her, you know what? I have so much more passion for fitness and acting right now than doing this. And I think I want to leave this job. And she was like, you know what? If this is going to work, and this right here is literally the sentence. These are the two sentences that like made me go ahead and quit. She said to me, if that is your real passion and that's what you think about these fields, your modeling, you're modeling and acting and doing fitness, if that's what you want to do, I prefer you do it now than to wait until we have kids if we stay together and you try to force that lifestyle on them. When she said that, I was like, good point. I'm quitting tomorrow.
That is Ryheem Johnson this week on the Do It For Yourself podcast. Welcome to this week's episode of the Do It For Yourself podcast. My name is Ian. This is my podcast, the Do It For Yourself podcast. And each week I have the chance, opportunity, pleasure to interview someone who is doing it for themselves. This is a person, an individual who is chasing a dream. They are accomplishing what it is that they set out to do, and that is regardless of what everyone was telling them, regardless of whether it was mom, dad, friends, family saying you should have a backup plan, you should have a plan B. These people essentially said, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do this my way, and I'm going to go for it. So as I said, this week my guest is Ryheem Johnson. Also known as Hustle Heem, Mr. Wait Till 2016. And I met Heem quite a few years ago, actually, through a mutual friend of ours. And from the minute I met him, I was like, this guy, he's got something special. So I continued to follow along with him and what he was doing. Was following him through his late years of finishing up at Goldie Beacom College, which is here in Wilmington, Delaware, as he finished up his master's and everything. And from there, he went on and got a job at an accounting place. And it was probably not long after he had gotten that job, at least that's what it seemed like from the outside, he had made a post on Instagram about how he was leaving to go and pursue his acting career, his modeling career, and kind of continue on with what he was doing with his personal training. So we get into that here, and we really dive into kind of what it was like, to do that, to leave a very good, well-paying job and take this leap. And then, now how he has actually gone back to working a more 9-to-5 type of gig down where he is in Virginia. So enough of me babbling on here about Heem. I will let him dive into the details of the story, and I hope you enjoy this interview with Hustle Heem. You ready to rock and roll, brother?
Hey, man, I'm all with you, Ian.
All right, Hustle Heem is in the house, and the other thing that I wanted to mention was, and we'll dive into this deeper, but I know you as Hustle Heem, but some others may also know you as Wait Till 2016.
16, yeah.
Yeah, see?
Yep.
And so you're a comedian, you're an actor, you're a model, a published model at that, and you were, and I'm not sure if you're still doing it, but you were an NPC competitor and also personal trainer I don't know if you're still personal training any clients down in Maryland where
in
you are
Maryland.
now.
In
But you got, whew, man, like 4,000 followers on Facebook. You are so close to breaking the 5K mark on Instagram. Just got married this past year. Like you got a lot of stuff going on right now, my friend.
yeah, I need a clone.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. And so we got connected through one of my very good friends, Jim, and
Hmm.
he was the athletic trainer for Goldie Beacom, which is where you did your undergrad and then also your master's.
Yep.
And did you play ball there as well?
No, actually, I didn't play any sports there, but my senior year in the undergrad program, I actually trained the girls basketball team. I actually did speed and agility for the girls basketball team. So that's 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 all I did as far as sports in college.
Okay, so but that's how you got connected with Jim.
Jim, yep,
Yeah,
exactly.
and you were P's roommate too, right?
Yeah, yeah.
You
My
lived
senior
with
year
P.
is all. Yeah, that's how. That's actually when I met you over P's house
Yeah.
and everything. But yeah. So that happened randomly because Preston and I actually lived together during the summer on campus, and then he and his mom decided about moving off campus. So then he just asked me if I wanted to move with him, and I was like, "Get off campus, I'm down."
Yeah.
So
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. That's funny because you guys, your townhouse is actually right across from where I live now. So it's kind of all coming like full circle.
Oh, yeah, you live right across from North Point now?
Yeah, so I'm
Got you.
I'm actually I'm right behind the Kmart.
Oh, oh, on the other side?
Yeah,
Okay,
I'm on the other
okay.
side of
On the
Limestone.
other side, Limestone.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Good
yeah,
old Kmart. I remember I
yeah.
used to work overnights at Kmart, man. I
Yeah.
used to work overnight shifts there. Actually, around the time when I knew you, I was getting up at like 11:30, working until like 6 in the morning, and then going to work and school. That was the that was the grind.
You always had the hustle. That's where the Hustle Heem comes from, man. You always
Yeah.
had the hustle.
No, it goes a little deeper than that, man. The since you actually called me Hustle Heem, I'm gonna tell you where that name came from. When I was in school, when I was in sixth grade, actually, a lot of kids get allowance. Everybody's going up and getting snacks after lunch and stuff like that. I didn't always have money. My grandmother wouldn't just give me money. You know what I mean? So one day I asked her, I said, "Can I borrow $5?" And she told me no, but my grandfather gave it to me. So I went to the dollar store and I bought 3 bags of blow pops. I went to school, sold all the blow pops for a quarter. I sold out. I came back home, gave him his $5 back, went back to the store, and did it all over again. And then from sixth grade all the way up through my senior year of high school, I was known as the school hustler because I used to sell candy, chocolate, chips, soda, CDs, T-shirts, almost everything out of my backpack. And that's where the name Hustle Heem came from. And then I used to be in a rap group, and that name just stuck. And then that's where Hustle Heem has just been a thing forever.
Man, that's funny because and before we started, we were just talking about Gary Vee, and I know that you said you don't really follow him too closely, but he used to do the same exact thing. He would go and buy
Yeah.
like action figures from the dollar store, and then go and return them to Toys R Us because they were more expensive at Toys R Us, and he would get the cash back from Toys R Us.
What?
Yeah, oh yeah, man.
That is genius.
Yeah, he's got some
That's
crazy,
genius.
crazy stories.
My idea is more like an Amazon business. His is more like stock trade. Like,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
he's
Absolutely.
like, nice.
Oh man. So we touched on your NPC, competitor,
Mm-hmm.
and being a personal trainer and everything,
Mm-hmm.
but you weren't always the built, ripped, like 300-esque model that you are today.
Not at all.
And so I want to know when you got into fitness. So you like
Okay.
where you were
Mm-hmm.
in your age and like schooling, and I
Okay.
also want to know why you got into fitness.
Okay. Um. So fitness came about, like the idea of it came about when I was, I would say either sophomore or junior year in high school. Uh, so as a little kid, I used to live with my uncle, and before he would go out or something like that, he used to box. He would be in the room doing push-ups. He had dumbbells and stuff, and just because he was my role model, I just thought it was cool, but I never stuck to it. Then when I got in high school, 10th, 11th grade mark, I had my friends, like my best friends were like the stars on the football team. So they were already, starting to produce as, younger men, So I was just the only skinny one. I just had a six pack, and that was only because I was so skinny. But I started to think about it then, but I just didn't have anything to stick to it. And there wasn't time. Like my grandmother didn't like me playing football, so I couldn't hit the gym with those guys. She was always afraid I was going to get hurt because I was so skinny. And then like in high school, that attention, you know what I mean? Like, because I was always getting picked on about being so skinny, I was like, I would prefer so much to be picked on about being too big than being too skinny. You know what I mean? Like I had one friend, people used to always joke him, but like, man, you on steroids, you on steroids, you on steroids, but he wasn't, but he was just big. And it's like, I would prefer that joke over, man, you eat all this food, where does it go? It must go to your feet, because I had big feet. So everyone used to always say that, oh, Ryheem eat 2 lunches so he can feed his feet. So it was like, I just could not gain any weight. And it was just so frustrating because I knew that I wanted to do it, but there was just no way to do it. Like there wasn't a gym near where I lived. So it wasn't as simple as getting the $10 a month Planet Fitness membership. The YMCA was charging like almost $70 a month, and it was too far from home because I was in the country. So I was like, you know what? When I go to college, I'm gonna change it, and that's just what I did. Freshman year, got it in.
So you were trying to gain far more than the freshman 15 when you started your first
I
year.
did. Word, man. I needed the freshman 30. I was trying to borrow somebody else's freshman 15.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, and your high school didn't have a gym, or was it only for athletes?
Yeah, they did have a gym, but the hours for the gym were for the athletes. The better hours anyway after school and stuff were for the athletes. And then you could do it during your gym time, but I would much prefer play basketball than lift weights at that point. You know what I mean? Because none of my best friends to lift weights with were in my gym period. So it was like, I'm not going to lift weights with these guys. They don't even lift. So I didn't know much. So I'm not going to lift weights with people who don't know anything. You know what I mean? So, because like I said, I was so skinny. I was like, I might go in and hurt myself.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So when you came to college is when you really started to develop this passion for fitness then.
Yeah, definitely. So how that came about, my roommate Denzel, he had already started working out in high school. So when we got to college, we were roommates, and I was telling him like, yo, I'm about to start hitting this gym every single day. Every day that Goldie Beacom's gym is open, I'm going. So I went in and I was just starting to do stuff. I started watching a little bit of videos, started trying to educate myself on what I should do. Of course, as a freshman, I didn't have enough money to eat as clean as I should have. But I also knew that if I packed on the calories in general and just mixed it with the right workouts, that I could make it benefit as well. Just like guys in jail, they don't eat 6 ounces of chicken and clean rice and vegetables all day long. You know what I mean? Like they just make it work, and lift. So that's exactly what I did. And at one point, I had went from 140 and I had finally gotten to like 165. And this was my sophomore year, and I had class with an older guy. He was like mid-30s. He was huge, jacked. And he actually wanted some help with one of the papers, that we were working on. And I had just gotten a 97 on the last one. And he was like, how'd you do that? And I'm like, shoot, how'd you get the muscles? You know what I mean? It's like, this can be a trade. You know what I mean? So I helped him out on, some homework and class assignments. And he and I hit the gym a couple times. And then just from that, he was like, you know what, man, like you have that personality and you have that spirit where you could be a really good trainer. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people get it mixed up with about training and just mixing up the amount of knowledge that you have to have with the ability to encourage and inspire and educate people. You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of people that are very smart, but they're horrible teachers.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So he thought that if I just was able to get enough knowledge to become a trainer and get my certifications, that I would be really good at it. So he introduced me to the manager, and the manager was like, yeah, I think the same thing, but you're not certified. So I left right from then and started trying to figure out how to, to get the NASM certification and AAAI and stuff like that. And I just passed the test on the first try. And as soon as I got there and showed him, my certifications, he was like, you're hired. You know what I mean? Because we had already gone through it, and I had went back to that gym, Retro Fitness, a couple times. And, that was it. And all after that, man, I went from, mind you, I was still in college. I went from having, like, when I first started, he had 4 people that needed trainers already in the system. I had 4. And by the time I was working there for 4 months, I had like 63 or 64 clients. And it was all off of personality. People just saw me in the gym being energetic and, laughing with people, getting people who I'm not even training, just walking by, seeing them doing a set of anything, a set of bench press, and he's about to rack it. I'm like, no, 3 more. You know what I mean? Just pushing people. And when people see that, they're like, you know what? I want that guy to train me. Mind you, I'm not the biggest trainer. I wasn't the most athletic trainer at that point, but people don't always need someone who's just big and muscular and look like the after picture. You know what I mean? Uh-huh. You don't need a pro card and all that to be a great trainer. You need to know what you're talking about. You need to know how to assess the right guide to this individual, because everything doesn't work for everybody. And even if it would work, maybe that's not their lifestyle. Maybe their jobs don't permit them to eat every 3 hours. You know what I mean? Or drink a whole, or drink half their body weight in water every single day. You know what I mean? So once you know enough or can, know how to apply certain things to individuals' lives, so that way they can get their max goal. You know what I mean? Not what you think they can get, but get the best that they think they can get out of it. You know what I mean? I'm not going to be like, oh, you didn't lose 2 pounds this week, you got to do more. No. What if you didn't lose 2 pounds, but you lost 1 inch in your thighs? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's a whole lot more than just looking like you can get on stage. You know what I mean? I had a lot of clients that you just had to build their self-esteem. They come in and like, oh, I'm horrible. I'm the worst at this. Oh, I'm too fat to do that. No, you're not. You think you can do it. You're not too fat to do it. If you were too fat, or you were too uncoordinated, or you were too, anything to do this, then I wouldn't ask you. Mm-hmm. I'm going to ask you what I know you can do. And if you can't get it all the way done, I'm asking because I know I can help you finish it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I'm not going to ask you to lift 20 pounds over your head if I know that I can't spot you. So like I said, it's not always about what you learn out of that book or what you read online. It's, you just got to be able to match people, so.
And I think there's a lot to be said about that in this new age and new era of fitness and coaches. And I mean,
definitely
not and like, listen, not for nothing, but I think that CrossFit has caused a lot of that, because the CrossFit certification is like a weekend course. Like, you go to a weekend course for CrossFit, and this is to the best of my knowledge. So if this is incorrect, like, please forgive me, but to the best of my knowledge, you go to a weekend certification and you are now a certified CrossFit level 1 coach. Cool. Great.
Wow.
I mean, if you think about CrossFit, you are instructing people to do Olympic lifts.
Yeah.
Like, for time, So you're talking about a serious risk of injury. And if you don't progress them properly, and I don't know what the CrossFit certification looks like, but I have heard of CrossFit gyms in this area where people just will not go anymore because they don't take them through the progression properly.
Right.
You know,
Right.
like they say, okay, here's your bar. You're doing 15 snatches for time. And they don't take them through and let them do snatches with a piece of, PVC pipe, and then just the bar, and then and watch their form the entire time. So
Right.
I think, you know, that's been an issue for a long time coming, where just because you're into fitness doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be a good personal trainer or a good
Exactly.
coach or a good. You got to have the whole package.
Right, right. And you know what some people do with that, man? Like I've noticed a lot of people who start working out and they learn all of this stuff and they lose 20, 30 pounds, 40 pounds. And you know what? I applaud those people. You're great. You are motivation for someone else. But at the same time, just because you did that, you can't just grab that plan and just start handing it out to people. You know what I mean? Because there's people that have injuries. There's people that have that can't eat certain foods. You know what I mean? And it's like if you don't have any knowledge about how to substitute or how to implement other things for these individuals, you're not. You're not a trainer. You know what I mean? You're a great suggester, if that's a real word. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and you can't call yourself a trainer. You know what I mean? If someone hurts themselves while they're training, what do? You get what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Some people, and it's in CrossFit, that's a big one with me. And like you hit that right on the head because people would come to me as a trainer and be like, yeah, man, I'm gonna start CrossFit. I'm not gonna just do this regular lifting. It's like that is so backwards. Like, no, you need to learn how to lift before you do anything else. You're gonna go in there and you're gonna try to do a snatch or something like that, and you're gonna feel this pull in your shoulder, and you're gonna be like, it's just tension, I haven't lifted. No, you probably just pulled something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then the CrossFit trainers, they're like, more. It's like he could have just dislocated something. You know what I mean? Like, because you're just like walking around the gym, making sure everybody is keeping up a pace. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And
yeah,
I mean, listen, this isn't
it's rough.
It's not a bash fest on CrossFit or
definitely not a bash fest. No, because I do CrossFit workouts,
and
but I know how to do the workout.
And all I'm saying is that for you became a personal trainer because somebody said to you, "Hey, Heem, you've got the personality to really be great at this. If you go and you get the education," I think that's the very, very important part of that story, is that this gym said to you, listen, we'd love to have you as part of the team,
right?
But you're not setting foot through this door as part of our team until you go and you get the knowledge base. And guess what? I'd be willing to put down a very large sum of money that you learned a lot in that course, but you learned 10x what you learned in that course when you started working, and you were learning from other trainers. You were learning how to adapt from other people. You were constantly growing as a trainer. You weren't just like, okay, I went through this course. Here's my cookie cutter plan that I'm going to put everybody on, and boom.
I'm a great trainer. Exactly. And you know what? And I've seen a lot of people come into that gym, and a lot of people go out of that gym as trainers, and it's because they had that mentality. I mean, you hit the nail right on the head. So you can don't even 10 times, 100 times that amount of money, because that's exactly what I did. Not only was I young and not only was I a new trainer, but I knew I was both of those things. You know what I mean? Like some people, you accomplish something and your head gets too big to go, to put in a t-shirt. And I did not have that mentality. Like the manager, if I didn't have a client, I was literally shadowing like people doing sessions. You know what I mean? Even the trainers that other people say weren't that great of a trainer, I even watched them train people. You know what I mean? Because they're a trainer because they know something. They might not know what everyone thinks they should know, but they know something. And I did that. I walked around people, doing workouts, people that looked like they really, really knew what they were doing. And I wasn't doing it just because I wanted to get my clients to do it, but because I still wasn't at the physical goal that I wanted to be. So it's like, you know what? That looks different. I haven't seen that. Oh, this looks different. I haven't seen that. Oh, look what she having her client do. I have a client that matches her client kind of sort of, I'm going to see if I can have my client do this too. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. You know what I mean? Because, you can't, you're not just going to have the best plan and it never changed. You know what I mean? Plans get great because they change. Your progress gets better because you change. It's muscle confusion. So if I only know 28 workouts and I have all of my clients doing these 28 workouts, eventually they're going to plateau. So what's the point of me being stubborn and not trying to learn anything? You know what I mean? So yeah, that's definitely where a lot of it came from. I was like a giant blender of personal trainers. It's like oh, you remind me of such and such. Yeah, probably.
The last thing I want to say about that is, don't think for 1 second that when you're not there, those clients aren't talking to one another. And so if they find out that, you got 3, 4, 5 clients all doing the same exact thing. They're gonna be like, Heem, what the hell? Like my goal is to run a marathon, and I want to be working on like some strength and stability stuff, and his goal is to put on 15 pounds.
15 pounds, and we're doing the same thing.
Right. So just, that's just that right there. So and it's funny, like we could probably just do the rest of this podcast on just your fitness stuff, because I can,
potentially
I can feel your passion coming through right now with this. So why did you then decide to go and pursue a career outside of fitness? Because when you graduated with your undergrad, you then went on and got your master's from Goldie.
Right. Yep.
And you decided to go pursue something completely opposite and do something for a majority of your day that was probably bringing people to you while you were a trainer, because you were going to go and sit at a desk from 9 to 5.
Exactly. You know what, man? That's a great question that I never found the answer to. It's like, how am I at my best and at my, I'm at my peak of the day when I'm training and yelling and, getting everybody sweating. But where I was for the last 8 to 9 hours was sitting in a quiet office with a tie buttoned all the way up to the top button, suit jacket potentially, and you know what I mean? And just stiff all day long. But at the end of the day, when I was personal training after I was working, that was like my outlet. You know what I mean? That right there was my release. It's like I had it all bottled up all day, but I got 3 clients after work and they're about to get it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's like it kind of helped them. But for me, I definitely would have preferred to have been doing that all day. But I've just always been like a math person in school. You know what I mean? And like that's how I even found Goldie. I had a business completer in high school, and I know that's a lot of schools might not do it, but we had a variety of business courses in high school that you could take as electives, and I took every single business course that they offered in my high school, and I just fell in love with the idea of business and just how it worked, and how the same dollar can be flipped 100 times to make someone rich. You know what I mean? And just following that, and I just kind of just got snatched in by it. I mean, I still hate taxes, but everything else I'm cool with. But I think at the end of the day, I was like, I just went in debt and just paid this much money. One year I bought a $450 book. I'm about to be an accountant. I didn't do all of that for nothing. So I think that's literally the only reason I became an accountant, and it didn't last that long. So
it wasn't like it wasn't out of necessity or by any means. Like you weren't.
No.
Because I'm sure you were probably making, if you had 60 clients, you were probably making pretty good money.
Yeah, I was doing pretty good for myself at the age of 20 anyway. You know what I mean?
Oh,
so
absolutely.
Yeah, it wasn't that. I mean, of course I did make more money as an accountant, but I mean, yeah, it wasn't that. It was like, this is what I've been going to school for the last 4 years. This is what I'm about to do.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And I mean, another just piece for that is you. I mean, when you were at school, you had class. So it's not like you could,
yeah,
you couldn't train clients all day long because
exactly.
you were at class. So when you then went and graduated, you could have totally picked up more clients, and
Hmm.
started making even more money.
Even
So
more money.
if
Yeah.
it was an issue of money, I don't know. Some people look at certain jobs and they're like, oh, I want to do that because that makes $200,000 a year, $250,000 a year, and
Hmm.
like, so that's what I'm gonna do. They pick it for the money.
Right.
But if you were a math guy, I mean, that's just it.
Yeah, and it just kind of came to me too. Math wasn't anything I had to really think on. You know what I mean? Like, science and all of that. It's like, wait, where are my notes? Where are my notes? But math and anything math related, it just came to me. So it was just easy. It was just a no brainer at the end of the day. And it was like, why not? This is what I moved to Delaware from Virginia for. So this is what I'm about to do, and I'll just make it work. I'm gonna keep some clients, but I gotta take this 9 to 5, get some benefits, and that's
Sure.
all it was. I just made the adult move.
Yeah, absolutely. And so as you were finishing up at Goldie and finishing up your masters and everything, and you were kind of coming to grips with the fact that you were going to have to be locked up, and essentially like chained to this desk,
Right.
versus having such a great amount of freedom while you were in school. Um, what was going through your head at that point?
Um. Honestly, I was just trying to figure out how to make it work for myself, and how to just elevate a little bit more within fitness. And that's actually when I started doing the competitions, because I was like, you know what? I'm just sitting here at this office. I'm not moving. I'm not doing anything. But what I could do is to elevate myself personally in this, and start bringing 3 or 4 meals to work with me, keeping a gallon in my office, just changing my entire routine. Because the only thing, like, and this is so true, because a lot of people say, who are the most unhealthy people? Doctors. Because they're working crazy hours, they're not getting rest, they don't eat as much as they should, and they know that you shouldn't. When I was working at the gym, I had so many back-to-back clients. Mind you, in between clients, my gaps of clients, I had to go back to school. You know what I mean? My gym that I was working at was only about, what's that, like a 10-minute drive. So I was going back to school, taking my class, and then going back to the gym and training people, and then coming back from my night class sometimes. You know what I mean? Or vice versa. So I wasn't eating as many meals as I should. Some days I didn't get my workouts in. So I was like, you know what? This right here is going to give me the opportunity to uh, become my own billboard, so to speak. You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, I know all of this stuff, but I don't apply it to myself. So when I got my full-time job, I was like, you know what? I'm going to compete. This is what I'm about to do. I'm about to start cooking a bunch of food. I'm going to go run in the morning before work. I'm going to go to the gym afterwards. And then I'm going to train a couple of people. I'll have a couple of people work out with me. I'm just going to make it work for myself. So I just took my lemon and made a nice glass of lemonade with no sugar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you, yeah, no processed sugar,
Yeah, no processed sugar.
especially if you're competing in NPC. Yeah,
Exactly.
you're not you ain't even using barbecue sauce on that chicken
No,
because
not even hot sauce. And I don't even like spicy food, but I was like, I need flavor.
yeah, and no salt either,
No
because you know
salt.
what that salt does to you. So
Exactly. I just did Mrs. Dash with the no salt in it, and that was it. I've tasted almost every different flavor of Mrs. Dash that didn't have salt in it out.
yeah, but you took this potentially air quotes negative,
Hmm.
and turned it into a positive so that you could still have this side hustle,
Hmm.
um, and I would probably argue that you weren't doing the side hustle of training clients because you had to financially.
No.
I
Right.
think you were doing it because it was your passion. You just
Oh,
loved it.
definitely. Definitely. It was a total different high, man. Especially when you get clients that want it, clients that have a purpose, clients that have, have a goal. Like I remember a handful, and I'll give you a couple examples of the people that I trained that like gave me the most joy training them. I had one guy who came to me with 6 weeks or 7 weeks before he got married, and he was in the military and he wanted to wear his dress blues in his wedding, but he couldn't button, like he could button it, but it looked like they were stretching. You know what I mean? He needed to lose the weight. In 7 weeks, he lost almost 20 pounds with me in just the right amount of inches. So he fit those dress blues perfectly. And he did that because he was driven. He was listening to me. When he did mess up, he told me so that way we could readjust properly. He was getting up in the morning. I was sending him messages to remind him, hey, get up. Today is the day for morning cardio. And I could only do that. I could only be that trainer for him because he allowed it. I had someone else who was trying to go into the military. I forgot what branch, but she was trying to go into the military and she needed to pass her test. She trained, and the first day I was like, this is going to be rough. But guess what? She passed everything. Her sit-ups, she got just enough. You know what I'm saying? And she was only working with me for almost 2 months. I had an older lady who her balance was rough, and she couldn't walk too long, and stuff like that. And by the time I was done with her in 6 months, she could walk on a treadmill for a half hour straight, no problems, not using the handrails on the side. She could stand on one leg. And I could go on with different stories forever, but when you're training people who have a purpose and they're listening and your drive can reflect and your inspiration reflects from them, that's when training becomes like, like I'll do this for free. You know what I mean? If this person is going to be for real, I'm going to do it for free.
Yeah, man. I mean, like those stories right there, they pay you so much more than you could ever get from a paycheck. So
Yeah,
much more.
definitely.
And
Definitely.
you'll remember those stories for the rest of your life.
Oh
You
yeah,
know?
definitely, and they will too, and that's great. You know what I mean? Like I
Mm-hmm.
have clients that still hit me up since I'm in Maryland, and I have a guy who's like 86, 87 years old right now, and he calls me like every 3 or 4 weeks just to check in, just to see how I'm doing because of what I did at the gym.
And the guy who got married in his dress blues, every single time
Oh
he
yeah,
looks at those wedding pictures, he's going to
exactly.
think back to two things. He's going to think back to how that was made. Well, I guess I won't speak for him, but he might think back to how that was the best day of his life.
Hmm.
And he's going to think back to how you helped him get to that point where those dress blues
The
looked
blues would
like they
fit.
did the day he was fitted for them.
Right.
You know?
Exactly. And those moments mean a whole lot more. You know what I mean? So.
And you were feeling so much more fulfilled from these stories that you're telling me than you were at this accounting job, regardless of how much debt you went into.
Oh yeah.
So it had to pop into your head at some point in time that you were like, all right, this isn't for me. And I was it this isn't for me and this isn't working because I have this passion that is just literally burning from inside of me and
Hmm.
I can't get it out where I am and just doing this for a couple hours a day isn't working? Or was it I got to get out of this job? It was the specific job.
Yeah, yeah. It was a job. It was kind of not necessarily the work environment, but it was just like sometimes it becomes more of a personality thing, and I don't know. I just was like, I've been so many other places where I felt more at home, and I just felt more. Not even. I don't know. There were so many other things that I just rather do. You know what I mean? That's it. At the end of the day, it's like you don't mind. I know some people who don't mind watching TV. They don't mind watching a good movie, but they would much rather play video games. You know what I mean? It's
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah, this
Mm-hmm.
sandwich is good, but I would really prefer to have some pizza right now. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? Like, so that's exactly what it was at the end of the day. It's like this meal plan is great and all. My six pack looks wonderful, but I'm down for some Chinese right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So yeah, it was just feeding a total different part of me.
So how long did you stay at your accounting job?
They hired me from my intern position that I started my senior year, and then I didn't leave until like 2016. So I was there for like 3.5 years, almost four. And that was after I started getting into acting and stuff like that. And that just finished snatching me out of that whole world. So I was like, yeah, I definitely can be somewhere else right now.
And when you were ultimately making that decision, aside from the fact that you had put it out there on Instagram for how
Hmm.
God only knows how many years, with your
Yeah.
with your name being "Wait till 2016,"
Yeah.
what was going through your head when you were like, "All right, this is it. Like I'm out of here." And what
Yeah. That
did
was.
you have a plan? Did you, have a savings just in case the rainy day came along?
Hmm.
What was going on there?
Yeah, so that's funny because that right there was like the roughest 3 months mentally, like ever. Like sometimes you're just sitting in silence, and sometimes you're just thinking about anything. But almost every time I was just sitting there, it was me processing this and what was I about to do. So I had been putting money away. So when I knew I was gonna be leaving, at some point I started putting a little bit more money away. I went back and I talked to the gym and I asked them about getting more clients and stuff like that. And of course that was a no brainer with them. So financially I knew I was going to be okay. And I had of course started doing acting gigs and stuff like that. I knew that I could continue with that. And I had just gotten a girlfriend. So when I had this conversation with her, I'm thinking, she's doing really well for herself. She's thinking I'm doing really well for myself and I'm setting myself up. I'm like, you know what? Let me not blindside her with this. And I'm going to tell her, you know what? I have so much more passion for fitness and acting right now than doing this. And I think I want to leave this job. And she was like, you know what? If this is going to work, and this right here is literally the sentence. These are the two sentences that like made me go ahead and quit. She said to me, if that is your real passion and that's what you think about these fields, your modeling, you're at modeling and acting and just and doing fitness, if that's what you want to do, I prefer you do it now than to wait until we have kids if we stay together and you try to force that lifestyle on them. When she said that, I was like, good point. I'm quitting tomorrow.
Yeah.
Good point. Point made. Like exactly. Like I'm this old. I'm like I was at that point. I was like 24 years old. So it was like, what am I gonna lose? I don't have any children. I'm gonna be okay financially. So like, what am I holding on to?
Yeah. And
Peace.
it's funny because I had a guy on who is this season. Jeremy is racing for the first time as a professional triathlete,
Oh, nice.
and his now wife did the same exact thing. She's like, "Look, go for it now.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Who cares? Go for it now.
Right.
So you might not win a race as a pro. So you might not be the top pro coming out of the water. So you might not be on that top step of the podium as a pro.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're, 37, 38, 39 and you're too old for the sport, so to speak,
Yep.
do you want to look back and say, yeah, you know
I
what? When
could
I
have.
was in my 20s, I took my pro card and I raced as a pro. And you know what? It was hard as shit. And those guys are super fast. But hey, I went out there and I scrapped it up with the big guys. Or do you want to
Yep.
look like, just like you said, do you want to look back and say, I wish I would have taken that pro card, you know?
Yep.
So sometimes, it does take that push from somebody else.
It does. It does. And I think and it goes and especially as a man, sometimes I feel like we just give ourselves so much more of other people's responsibility. You know what I mean?
100%.
We care about what other people might have to say or something like that. So that way, as soon as we get released from that, like him, as soon as his wife, because of course that's his main thought, you know, like, man, what is my wife going to say? Because you live with her, so you're going to hear it every single day. I can't believe you're out here and you quit your job and you're doing this pro crap and blah blah blah. That's a nightmare. So as soon as she give him the go, oh, it's over. You know what I mean? All of that negativity is out. Some people, it's their parents. You don't want to disappoint your parents. But as soon as they give you the go, oh, it's nothing but green light. So
Yeah.
it definitely does come back to, having that support.
Now, you said that it was when you finally took the jump, it was quite possibly the worst 3 months that you had gone through. And I want to know what were some of the things that you were experiencing through that 3 months, because you said that you went back to the gym, so you were able to get back in there and get some clients. But what else was going on during that first 3 months? And did you ever have the thought of, oh shit, I should not have
Messed
done
up.
this?
Definitely. So my the first 3 months after I quit, the first month was okay. I had some gigs. They paid, and I got a few clients, so I thought that the momentum was going to get going. But month 2 and month 3 were totally flat. Like, I got some acting gigs, but they were on 60-day contracts, so I wasn't going to get paid until 60 days after production. And then clients, for some reason, I couldn't get a new client to save my life. All the clients that did that were excited for me coming back, they were already assigned to other trainers. So it's not like they were just going to be like, no, it's okay, Ryheem's back, I'm going to go train with Ryheem. You know what I mean? So it was like this savings account is starting to diminish, and it is not holding me like I thought it was, because I was anticipating on bringing more money in. And like, I definitely for weeks and weeks and weeks thought I quit too early. I jumped too soon. I'm about to fail. This is horrible. How do I get my job back? Maybe they will give me my job back. Like, I was contemplating on doing so many other things. And right at the end of that third month, I had a light bulb go off, and that light bulb was Uber. I started doing Uber, and I picked myself up. I started getting money from the gigs that I had done previously, and clients just started rolling in, and I was good. So it was almost like it was just a test. You know what I mean? I just felt like I was just in that sunken place for a second, and I just needed to test my own, what's the word? Not even drive, but just test my own stamina for life. You know what I mean? That hardships are gonna come no matter what you're doing, but what are you gonna do when that happens? Me, I just found another way, and that's what we all got to do in most cases. It's like, you don't have to give up on the dream. You just got to find another way to make it work. So that's exactly what happened. And at the end of the 3 months, I was like, why didn't I think of this before? You know what I mean? Like, I didn't even have to go through that almost depressed crap. You know what I mean? So that's exactly what happened. After that, man, I was golden, man. I was like, oh, I can do this. I'm good. I had that I reassured myself. So definitely, and my wife, now she's my wife, but my girlfriend, she was definitely helping too. Like, sometimes when she knew I felt some type of way, she actually came from Maryland, and we would go to dinner or something like that, or, we just hang out. And there were a couple of dates where she was like, I got it, don't worry about it. And just knowing that I had, someone backing me up was perfect. So
Yeah, and I think especially as as the guy, like, and I don't know if this is just males or if it's because of society or whatever the pressures may be, you feel like you need to be, the provider, and you need to take
Yep.
care of everybody else.
Exactly.
You always got to take care of everybody else, and you can't accept that from anyone. It's up to you. So you got to take care of everybody else and yourself all at the same time.
All
And
at the same time.
so many times people worry about taking care of everybody else first
Mm-hmm.
and not taking care of themselves. And I mean, that's like fitness and business and everything else. And it's funny because I've heard a quote and I've heard it so many times now. I don't even remember who said it first because I've heard so many different people say it. But
Right.
it's like when you're on the plane and the plane's going down and you reach up, you got to put your mask on first.
Yep.
You have to put your mask on first if you want to help anybody else who's on that plane.
Exactly.
If you don't put your mask on first, you're not helping anybody.
You're not helping anybody, right? You're not going to be able to.
Right. So you got to put your mask on first. You got to take care of yourself first. And that's what you did. You put your mask on. You got Uber. You installed it on your phone. You boom, and you just started doing what you needed to do, to make it happen. And then, you've built up a successful career in acting and in modeling. I mean, you've been published in various different magazines, and so I'm sure that first 3 months, you're like, man, what was I thinking? But once the ball started rolling, so to speak,
Yep.
it really kind of made it clear that, you did make the right decision. One of the other things that I wanted to ask you about that point in time is, were there any previous experiences that you pulled from to help you get through that dark time?
It were not. I wouldn't necessarily just say previous experiences. It was just a matter of just lifestyles that I was used to seeing. You know what I mean? Like, I'm the first person in my family on both sides to go to college, and then when I started college, my uncle went to college, and then I had cousins and stuff going to college as well. And then I graduated, and then as soon as I graduated, my little brother went, my little sister went, all these people just started going. And to me, what really was pushing me was the fact that I felt like more of a pioneer for my family. You know what I mean? I was the only person doing this. I'm the most fit person in my family. No one in my family follows fitness. No one in my family really cares about fitness. No one in my family ever did anything with modeling. Some of them thought it was weird at first. Acting, they didn't even think I was serious. You know what I mean? So it was more so the drive was to prove that I can do this. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, you might think it's a little strange right now, but just keep watching. Just keep the TV
and on.
on.
Top of that, I'm sure that some of the people in your family were not necessarily too pumped when you were modeling for the boxer short company that had the built-in pocket for the condoms.
Oh, why do you even remember that?
No,
SOS.
listen, Hustle Heem. When you put things on the internet, they stay there forever.
They stay there on the internet, definitely. Yeah,
that was my first thought. I was like, Heem, what does your family think about this?
All right, what is this? Just carrying around a condom, like just.
SOS.
Yo, that was not even in my mind just now. That's hilarious. No, I don't even know if I ever told my grandmother about that, but there were family members that, like, I went home for the holiday one time, and my aunt had the picture on her phone from Facebook, and she just walked over to me and showed me her phone and looked at me and rose her eyebrows. She was like, "That's what we're doing?"
Really?
And I just was like, "Oh God!" Like,
you said, "Listen, Auntie." When somebody says you could come model for us and you're just starting out, you're a starving artist.
You jump on the train.
You got to take it. Doesn't matter what it is.
Exactly. And that wasn't even the worst one, man. That wasn't even the worst one.
Oh, man.
Oh, God. You just pulled something out the bag right there.
Uh-huh. Yeah. So now, after you just got married and we get back to that, that male, I guess maybe we'll call it an instinct, to take care of other people. Did things change for you at all?
Definitely. So I definitely wasn't modeling underwear with condom pockets anymore. Definitely got, I started having to, kind of backstep kind of tread on what I was modeling and how I was modeling. So that definitely changed up a lot. And then knowing that I had to move from Delaware to come out here, I knew that my presence out here in Maryland, as far as personal training, wasn't that big. And actually, it didn't even exist at all. So I knew that coming out here and personal training wasn't going to be my bread and butter. It was just going to be too tough. Mind you, when I proposed to her in February, we were planning to get married in September. So I was like, you know what? Like, I need a job now because we're paying for this cash, and I need to keep putting money towards things. So I came out here and started applying for jobs, and I work now at a nonprofit organization called Boys Town, and I continue to get different acting gigs, but of course I didn't get enough to live off of and help pay for a wedding. You know what I mean? Like a wedding that had 250 people. So we're not talking like, 25 of her family, 25 of mine, and our grandparents are going to cook in the back. You know what I mean? So it was like, no, we got to put up some real money for this. So I came out here, man. I just started going to work, and I knew that I didn't want her risking 1 month of me not getting a good check from somewhere and having to, just face some rent and electricity and all of that on her own. You know what I mean? So like you were saying, that male instinct was like, we're not going to get married and then you be the working person in the house. So I can do that on my own because I can fend for myself just fine. But I'm not going to have you like, well, it's okay. I just won't get my nails done this week. Like, I can't let my wife say that. You know what I mean? Like, no, we got to continue these lifestyles that we're used to. So I just faced it up, and that's how I kind of got out of fitness. And I just went back to that 9 to 5, but I'm working on that build up right now where I can leave where I'm at right now in the future and get back to the passion.
And one of the things that I wanted to ask you about your acting is you're not living in Los Angeles and you're not living in NYC. So what
Right.
is it like trying to get gigs, when you're living in kind of like nowhere, Maryland?
Right. Well, see, so that's the thing. I mean, unless you're really on the scene for acting and stuff like that, it would be hard to figure out. But of course, it's not as much going on. But there's always things out here like TV One. They have like 2 or 3 different TV shows that air in this area in Washington D.C. Mind you, I only live like 25 minutes to a half hour from Washington D.C. I actually work in Washington D.C. There's Towson. There's Howard, just different colleges that always have student films going on. And a lot of times they get budgets for those. I actually shot a commercial out here for Filter By out here. And of course, there's a lot more out here that I could be doing and things that's over in across the border into Virginia. But like I was strapped down before, since I work the 9 to 5, I can't get all of it. But for what's going on, it's plenty. It's definitely plenty. So it's definitely, if I was in New York, it would be, a movie every week probably. But, you got to adjust. You got to know. It's all about who you know most of the time.
Yeah, and so now when you're down there, are you trying to build up your acting more, or are you trying to build up personal training again? What are you trying to build up?
So, so honestly, how I feel about the personal training out here is how a lot of places run out here in Maryland. I haven't been really impressed. So the personal training thing, I think I want that to turn into something that I just do on my own for people that I know. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think that I can open up to an entire gym again and start that over because I'm like so deep into doing this acting thing and that, and I do stand up comedy. So it's like I've jumped onto those things so much, and then like being married, it's I kind of, I don't know. It's like right now I don't see personal training fitting back in full time. And then on top of that, my certification expired. So it's like I'd have to do it all over again. You know what I mean?
Oh, you made the
So
cardinal sin. The cardinal sin. You let your
yeah, I let
certification
it expire.
expire. Oh,
Exactly. So it's like that, and especially when that happened, I was like, oh crap. So I don't know. I think I've allowed that become a distraction from personal training so much that I don't think I'd get back into it like I was. But I do plan to compete again, and stuff like that. And but right now it's mainly I want to get back to doing the acting. I want to get this comedy thing going, and and inspire people on the way.
yeah. So talk to
So
me. Talk to me about this comedy thing, because all of a sudden I see you posting like, "Oh, I'll be at open mic and such," and I'm like, "Wait, what? Heem's doing stand up now? Like, what is going
yeah.
on?"
So that happened. I was shooting this episode of For My Man on TV1 one day, and we were shooting at this really big house. And the guy that owned the house he's actually a stand up comedian and an actor, and he's doing really good. He's great. But he told me one time, he was like, "Yeah, man, you should try stand up." We're just having conversation, and I'm making him laugh, and he's like, "You should try stand up." And I froze for a second. I'm like, wait, what? I didn't even think of it. And then I saw him again. And he was like, so what'd you think about doing that stand-up? I was like, wait, you were serious? He was like, yeah. He was like, you come up with 5 minutes of material, and I'm going to get you some stage time. And I thought about it, and I was like, you know what? After this wedding is over, I'm going to do it. I told my wife. She was like, well, all you do is walk around and be a clown anyway.
Yeah.
You might as well make a career out of it. It's so natural. I was like, you know what? I'm going to. And that's what I did in November or December. I just did it. And when I got up there, people were like, wait, that was your first show? That was the first time you did that? And I was like, yeah. And it was just so natural. Like, just being up there, man, like, I don't know, man. That's a total different like experience. You know what I mean? Like some people do get the stage fright, but I beat stage fright so many years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Like getting people to laugh and just having that energy is totally different. I even used it during my personal training. You know what I mean? Like just keeping people uplifted during it. Getting them laughing, getting them to have fun, and people would accomplish so much more during a session while they're having fun than they would as, like opposed to making it seem like a chore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, no, come to the gym, we're going to have fun today. Or come to the gym, I'm going to work you out today.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a total different approach that I always had, and I always use being funny with it. So it just kind of happened, man.
Yeah, but
it's
I think
so hard.
And I think that has something. I think there's something to be said about your personality as well, because somebody who's funny amongst their friends, could go up there and just bomb. You know,
and bomb, and I've witnessed it.
Right, like people are like, "Oh, I can make my friends laugh," so it goes back to, "Oh, I'm into fitness. I'm gonna be a personal trainer." You know what I mean? Just because you can make your friends laugh doesn't mean you're gonna
can make these strangers
an hour and a half set, on Netflix in 5 years. Like that's So I think there's a lot to be said about just you personally, when it comes to something like that.
Yeah, and like you said, it definitely becomes the personality, man. Is if you don't, like some people say. Especially in acting, they're like, yeah, when you get up there, man, you just got to turn it on. Some people are like, turn what on?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I was through this agency, and they would always call it the it factor. You know what I mean? And it's like, if you don't have it, no matter what it is, but for what you do, if you don't have it, then it's going to be hard. You know what I mean? Like this right here, like what you're doing. You know what I mean? These podcast interviews, some people think, oh, I can get on there and chop up a conversation and get someone to talk about stuff. No, you can't.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have what Ian has. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it just works. It's just, that's it. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, if you don't have what it takes to do what you think you should be doing, then it's going to be a little struggle.
Or if you don't have what it takes to develop what you need to make it successful. You know what I'm
Exactly, to
saying?
develop what you need. Because like that guy you were saying, you can make your friends laugh, but
Mm-hmm.
if you don't learn how to change you guys, your inside jokes into jokes for people who don't know those inside jokes, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you don't know how to, perfect your craft, but yeah, you got to be open to doing those things.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Hustle Heem. I just want to take a minute to say thank you for jumping on with me. I really appreciate it.
Hey man, no
It's
problem, man.
it's
I was
been
excited.
yeah, it's been a lot of fun, getting caught up with you, and it was great to hear your journey from, not only through fitness but also through some dark spots where you made a decision and you were like, oh man, did I make the right decision?
Hmm.
So yeah, that was awesome to hear. And I just want to say thanks for opening up and sharing some stuff like that. And I mean, it's again, it might seem natural to somebody like you, but for some others that's kind of a big thing. So I
Yeah,
appreciate it.
definitely. No problem, Ian. I appreciate you hitting me up and asking me to do it. When you said it, I was like, podcast? What is Ian doing on podcast? Like I didn't even know about it. So it's like I'm glad you're out here. You're making your big steps too, man. And I think you're gonna do better than you're even anticipating.
Well, I
So
appreciate that,
yeah,
man.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
No problem.
So, all right, Heem, I'm gonna cut you loose, man. Like I said, I appreciate you jumping on, and I look forward to doing this again when you leave your 9 to 5 that you're at now,
Oh,
and
definitely.
then
Have
we
another
have
story.
we have a whole nother story that we can get into.
For sure, for sure. Hey man, and by the way, I'm actually doing another show, a comedy show out in Wilmington, Delaware, on Market. I think it's on Market. Um, it's called Celebrations. I'm doing that out on the riverfront on March 9th. So, if you're not busy out there and you don't have like, a 5-star interview to get done, man, you're more than welcome to come out.
Oh, yeah. We'll have to get connected on that.
Oh, for sure, for
Yeah,
sure. I'll send you some info.
we'll get connected on that for sure. That would be great. We'll get the band back together, so to speak.
Oh, definitely, Jimbo.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We'll have to be careful. We don't want to get too deep in the water. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, no, no, yeah, no,
But
no. I'm bringing my floaty.
keep the swimmies close by.
All right,
Oh man. All right, Hustle Heem.
all right, Ian.
Oh
Hey man,
brother.
appreciate you. Take
Thank
it
you.
easy.
Hustle Heem. That is it. What did you think? Did you like that episode? Did you like Hustle Heem? Did you like his energy? Could you feel his energy? Because I certainly could feel his energy via the Skype call that we had together and through that conversation. So thanks again, Hustle Heem, for coming on. I really do appreciate you jumping on with me and sharing your story, and talking about, what it was like to go from somebody who was working at a job that just wasn't for them anymore, getting out, moving on, and then kind of now ending up back in that same place, as in doing a 9 to 5, where you kind of wanted to jump ship from. So I appreciate that. I appreciate all of you as a listener of this podcast. Without you, there wouldn't be any reason to continue doing this. So I do appreciate your feedback. My one ask of you is to please leave a review and a rating on the Apple Podcast app if that's how you're listening to this. 5 stars or 1 stars. Please give me your honest feedback, but that's what I'm asking of you in return for putting out these podcasts each week. And I look forward to seeing you next week.